Cat's form evaluates life. Some enter coffins, while others enter urns. Here, a group is already grappling with these urns. One individual curious inquiries about how many urns there are, to which someone replies that there are 33. However, they must complete their task today because the sun is rising. With that, they grab a shovel and begin filling the coffins with cement. Meanwhile, another person sees some tobacco and tosses it in a completely different direction. Thus, someone ponders what kind of life they were leading and how they found themselves in this predicament. A beautiful girl, known as Snow White, serves as their target. The team leader Kim raises his hand and queries the supervisor regarding why she bears that name when she isn't Caucasian, but rather appears to be an ordinary Asian woman. He thinks she seems too weak to be a target. The supervisor responds, advising Kim not to judge individuals based on their appearance or race, revealing that Anna, who is known as Snow White, is the current leader of the Yakuza gang and is a dangerous woman. She earned her nickname due to her role as the largest dealer of pure cocaine. The supervisor informs the team that Anna is planning a drug-related gathering at a hotel comes after a meeting with the domestic organization, known as the International Faction. This event is a crucial opportunity, especially since the number of guards will be limited. Their mission is clear: eliminate Anna and stop the flow of illegal drugs disguised as an organizational conflict. Firearms are not allowed at this point. However, a man wearing glasses enters and tells Kim that this mission will be especially difficult. This is exactly why Kim was selected as the top agent. He says, "I trust only you." Team leader Kim confidently. Kim replies, "Leave it to me." We then see Kim stepping out of an elevator at the hotel where the mission is about to unfold. Upon exiting, he runs into a group of gangsters, who are surprised by his presence. One of them asks about his reason for being there. Kim quickly tells his teammates that he has already gotten into the location. He then pulls out a knife and, upon seeing it, the gang members steel themselves for a fight. Kim moves forward slowly, however. Without warning, he charges at them with incredible speed. The gang members, caught off guard, do not hesitate to launch their attack. As Kim is suddenly stabbed with a knife, he quickly parries the attack, disarming his assailant and then slashing the man's throat. The gangster instinctively grabs his neck, trying to stop the blood from flowing, while another attacker stealthily creeps up on Kim from behind, ready to strike. However, we flash back to the briefing room, where the supervisor has been explaining the mission to Kim. He tells him that about 10 non-combatants need to be eliminated and thinks that over 20 will be there. After this, he asks how many agents are needed for entry. Kim responds, saying that 3 agents, including himself, would be necessary. After a moment of thought, the supervisor wonders if Kim thinks that number is too much. Kim answers that, although this is an extermination mission, they must be fully prepared. Returning to Kim at the hotel, he stays determined no matter how many Yakuza members confront him. He is confident that no one can beat him and the 2 people he thinks of as his brothers. In the shadows, a figure appears holding a blood-dripping curved knife. Dressed in a mask and a black suit, he stands over a pile of gangsters' bodies. Through his earpiece, he asks the protagonist if he finds the situation. However, there is tension in the air because they both know what might come next. But although Kim feels ready, this moment could change everything. The mission is, in fact, surprisingly easy. The protagonist, let's call him Alex, responds by urging his companion to stay focused on the task at hand. Here, it is revealed that he and his 2 partners are elite survivors from hell. After each member of the team finishes eliminating the gangsters they encounter, they proceed toward the location of their target. Standing before the door, Alex informs his companion that everyone inside will be under the influence of drugs, and that there exists only one exit. Thus, they must block it and eliminate everyone within. As he reaches to open the door, both he and his partners are taken aback by the sight before them: numerous bodies sprawled across the floor, as if a massacre has transpired. Alex quickly directs them to search for their target among the bodies and shuts the door. At that moment, he realizes the door is locking. He wonders who has locked it, especially because both the entrance and the door had been unlocked before. Darkness envelops the room. However, just then, a chandelier illuminates the space. However, the protagonist struggles to fully open his eyes. They have not yet adjusted to the brightness. This hinders his ability to see clearly. It is then that he notices a girl standing in front of him. Although he tries to focus, the light is too intense. But he feels a strange pull toward her, because something about her presence feels important. As they ask about their intentions, the main character and his friends are shocked to find out that the girl in front of them is actually Anna. They notice a dark red aura surrounding her while she casually holds a severed head in her hand. She then tosses it away without a second thought. In that moment, the protagonist's friends are filled with fear, while he feels for the first time the cold grip of facing death. Anna looks at one of them, leaving him completely speechless. Then she cuts through the head she was holding and throws it at him, making him catch it. The guy is caught off guard surprisingly as he grabs the head, but before he can understand what's happening, something like a bullet pierces through it. It goes through his neck and he falls down dead in seconds. The second man, filled with anger over his friend's death, rushes at Anna in a desperate attempt for revenge. The protagonist tries to step in, feeling that something is very wrong. However, he can't move fast enough. The second man's head also gets pierced and his blood splatters across the protagonist's face. This leaves him frozen in shock. However, he can't move. Although he wants to react, he is stuck in place because of the suddenness of it all. Anna smiles widely and says to the protagonist, "No matter how many bugs there are, they're still just bugs incapable of doing anything." The protagonist, deeply enraged after seeing what happened to his companions, struggles to keep himself together. He realizes that the being in front of him is not normal at all, and that he can't go back like this. At that moment, Anna points something at him with her finger. The protagonist is startled when he focuses on it and sees that it's a tooth. Suddenly, the tooth speeds toward him, nearly hitting him. However, he dodges it at the last second, getting only a small scratch on his nose. Anna shows her amazement at the protagonist's ability to notice and avoid her attack. The protagonist tries to get closer to Anna and rushes at her to deliver a direct strike, but before he can touch her, she grabs him by the face and throws him with the force of a baseball player. He crashes to the ground and struggles to rise, unable to believe what's happening and wondering what kind of power this cursed woman has. This is bewildering, because he never expected such strength from her. Anna doesn't let him take a moment to think about his feelings. She lifts high into the air and lands on his leg, crushing it under her foot. The protagonist lets out a scream of extreme pain while Anna grins, raising her knife. She shares her admiration for him, and then drives the blade into his hand, commanding him to keep entertaining her. As the protagonist feels rage swell inside him, he hears Anna describe her actions as fun. He struggles to get up, demanding to know if she really thinks that killing is enjoyable, shouting right in her face and questioning her beliefs. However, in a moment of desperation, he turns to the only way he can fight back. He bites her neck with all his might. Anna starts to bleed, surprised by his actions, but the protagonist remains determined. He grabs a broken piece of glass from the ground and plunges it into the same spot. She falls on top of him, lifeless. The protagonist feels a brief sense of relief, thinking he has finally avenged his fallen friends. He apologizes to them for not saving them, although he fears he will soon be joining them. Suddenly, blood begins pouring from his. As he screams, Anna, who is regaining consciousness, yanks the shard of glass from her neck. "Biting me was quite an impressive move," she tells him. The protagonist, stunned, grapples with the reality of the creature before him. However, he can only process so much. A sudden, intense pain courses through him, leaving him bewildered. Anna advises him not to waste time trying to understand, because it will ultimately yield no answers. He begins to convulse, blood oozing from every orifice, while Anna observes with a mix of fascination and concern. "I've never met anyone quite like you," she remarks, hoping he can endure. The pain intensifies and he clutches the knife still embedded in his hand, his veins bulging as if they might burst. Eventually, he collapses, utterly powerless and motionless on the ground. Anna gazes at him with disappointment, calling him pathetic. At that moment, a group of her men enters the room, inquiring about her well-being. Infuriated by their intrusion, she eliminates one with a single, swift strike. The remaining men stand frozen in fear. Coldly, she commands them to clean up the bodies and, as they get ready to go back to Japan, the preparations are intense. The story shifts to a boat moving through the huge ocean, carrying a barrel meant for disposal. Inside this barrel is the body of the main character. One of the workers in charge of the disposal notices something strange and calls his co-worker's attention to it. His friend grins, pointing at the main character, who appears to be standing straight up even though he has been declared dead. He tries to comfort his colleague, saying that the main character is really lifeless. However, the first worker thinks out loud about the deep resentment the main character must have felt to end up like this. He puts out his cigarette on Kim's neck and tells his co-worker to quickly bury him so he can rest in peace. But both men are shocked when they see the burn mark from the cigarette fading away on Kay's body. Suddenly, Kim wakes up, refusing to give in until he gets his revenge on Anna. The two men, standing in front of him, can hardly believe that he is still alive after everything he has gone through. Kim is on the edge of entering the room where Anna and his friends are waiting. However, he suddenly finds himself alone in a strange place. A hand comes out from behind him, choking him and leaving him confused, unable to understand what is happening. Anna then shows up and many hands seem to come from her body, wrapping around Kim completely. She moves closer to him, congratulating him on his new success, telling him that he is now a day walker. In a panic, Kim opens his eyes only to find out it was all just a dream. The sun shines brightly and he realizes he is on a ship, drifting in the huge sea. Struggling to get up, he becomes painfully aware of his naked body, covered in blood. A bad headache hits him as he tries to remember what happened, but his attempts are pointless. Terrified, he sees that everyone on the ship has been brutally killed, their bodies are torn apart. He stands there in shock, thinking about the awful sight. At that moment, a man clad in a suit and mask appears on a small boat, calling out to Kim. He claims to be from headquarters and invites him to join because they can return together. After some time, they finally reach land and Kim enters the car with the man. Kim, still grappling with the trauma of what he has witnessed, asks what happened on the ship. The man's response is vague, however, it indicates that they are still in the middle of their investigation. Another man gets into the car with them and asks Kim a question: had he really completed his mission? When he is asked if he feels tired, Kim says that he is fine. However, the man suggests that Kim should take a nap, especially because they have a long journey ahead. As the man turns to speak to Kim, he shows that he is wearing a gas mask. Suddenly, gas starts to seep through the car's ventilation system. Kim begins to choke and asks about their plans, but neither of the masked men gives an answer. As the gas takes effect, Kim loses consciousness. One of the men grabs a phone and calls someone he calls the director, telling him about their successful capture of the specimen. It soon becomes clear that this director is the same man who wore glasses and gave Kim his mission in the first place. The director praises the man for his hard work and tells him to take Kim to the lab for immediate dissection. After hanging up, the director's hands shake with excitement and a wild smile spreads across his face. He whispers to himself that he has finally gotten what he has been chasing. After some time, which felt longer than it actually was, the car carrying Kim keeps going on its dark road. As the director shows up at the lab, he orders all researchers to gather right away when they open the car trunk to get Kim. However, instead of finding Kim, the boss is ready to start the experiments on him, which makes things messy. When one of the researchers lifts the trunk, he is shocked by what he sees. Instead of Kim, he finds the two masked men dead. The researcher is stunned, and before he can say anything, a bullet hits him right in the forehead. Suddenly, a storm of bullets bursts from inside the car, taking down all the nearby men one by one. The director stands there frozen in shock. In a matter of seconds, he is the only one still alive. At that moment, Kim steps out of the car. Upon seeing him, the director quickly turns and starts running as fast as he can, yelling and telling all youths to take out Kim immediately. Meanwhile, Kim calmly gets his gun ready as a group of armed men rushes toward him. One of them tries to stab him with a knife, but Kim blocks the attack and shoots him in the head. He quickly takes down two others with precise shots. Just then, another man tries to take advantage of Kim's brief distraction. Action serves to kill him. However, Kim skillfully dodges the attack and shoots the man's elbow, making him drop the knife. Next one, Kim finishes him off with a shot to the head. Noticing two more men charging at him, Kim swiftly retreats to evade the first attack too, grabbing the first man's arm and making him lose his balance and fall. Kim then shoots the second attacker and drives the knife into his neck to finish the encounter. Suddenly, Kim feels a threat approaching and is shot directly in the head. The man who fired the shot comes closer, declaring that they have finally subdued him. Kim appears lifeless, unable to move. One of them then cautiously steps forward to confirm his death. But Kim regains consciousness in an instant, grabs his gun and emerging from behind the car, continues to take down anyone trying to eliminate him. The man who shot Kim is in total disbelief that Kim is still alive after taking a direct bullet to the head. Kim strikes him, causing the gun to fall from his hand and begins choking him as the man desperately begs for his life. Kim is filled with rage, unable to understand how these individuals manipulated the situation. Although he knows he needs to finish this fight, he and his team who had given their lives for the country were only used for someone's personal gain. Flashbacks flood Kim's mind. The moment he killed the two men who had kidnapped him comes back clearly. But the documents he found in the car revealed the truth. After looking through them, Kim decided to get revenge against those who betrayed him. He moves toward the director, who turns around in fear. Kim walks toward the director, leaving a trail of bodies behind him. His whole body is soaked in blood, making him look terrifying. However, this change is not just physical, it represents the anger that has taken over him. Although he knows the risks, Kim feels he must confront his oppressor. Despite having endured multiple fatal blows recently, however, he is still alive. Kim doesn't fully understand what's happening to his body, but he isn't thinking much about it. He's focused on his usual mission, gathering information and eliminating enemies. The director tries to calm Kim down, saying that he will explain everything. He attempts to justify what happened, mentioning certain circumstances and even promising to help Kim get a promotion. Kim's response is a bullet to the director's thigh, causing him to scream in pain. The director pleads for his life, trying to talk again, but Kim cuts him off, demanding silence and an answer to his question. Kim asks what they did to him. The director replies with vague statements about a misunderstanding, trying to stall for time. Kim responds by shooting him in the other thigh again, commanding him to speak clearly. Finally, the director starts talking and asks Kim if he has noticed that he comes back to life, even after dying. This surprises Kim, and that his wounds heal quickly. Kim is stunned as the director continues explaining that some of Anna's past followers have similar abilities. The director explains that, despite their recent rise, Anna and her gang have become the most powerful in Japan. This is largely because of the strange technology they have access to. That's why the organization is desperate to get this technology as well. Kim interrupts, asking if that's the reason they sent agents like him. The director confirms, saying they sent numerous agents before, but all ended up dead without gathering any information. So they revised their strategy and decided to send someone exceptional. The director continues to tell Kim that he no longer has to worry about dangerous missions because of the power he has gained. He congratulates Kim on his hard work and says he will become a hero. However, Kim is not interested in this nonsense and shoots the director in the shoulder. The director screams again, asking why Kim keeps shooting him after he's told him everything. Kim grows even more furious and tells the director that he's talking about making him a hero, while he had planned to turn him into nothing more than a specimen. He asks if the director. He realizes the horror that he and his team faced during the mission, and he accuses the director of not gathering enough information before sending them out, even when he knew things. And when things were normal, Kim blames the director's greed for the deaths of his comrades, saying that if it weren't for that they would still be alive today. The director, still reeling from Kim's accusations, replies, "Let's say you have some strange abilities, those Yakuza holes are just people too, right?" He reminds Kim of his earlier words when he had said he couldn't lose to mere humans. However, the director then starts shouting at Kim, claiming that this is his job and they only died because they were on a mission with a death wish. He becomes more agitated, declaring that they did their duty by awarding medals to Kim's fallen comrades and asks what all the fuss is about. Kim loses control, kicking the director hard in the face. He pulls a knife from his pocket and tells the director to prepare to feel the pain his comrades experienced, warning that this night will be long for him. The director, now terrified, begs Kim to wait. But Kim doesn't listen and moves to attack. Just before Kim reaches him, a gunshot rings out, hitting the knife in Kim's hand and causing it to fall. Kim turns to see several cars arriving, packed with soldiers who demand that he surrender and drop his weapon immediately. The director yells at them, asking why they took so long to respond to his call. The troops quickly dismount from the vehicles and form a line in front of Kim, ready to fire. Kim senses danger as he sees the soldiers preparing for an assault, frantically searching for cover. However, before he can move, the soldiers open fire and Kim is riddled with bullets all over his body. He collapses to the ground and one of the soldiers orders the aim to cease fire. The director stands up, walks over to Kim's body and begins mocking him. He tells Kim that looking all high and mighty serves him right. He just needs to be tied up for life and give them his bloody gladness. Can't he resurrect and heal wounds too? Then just keep pounding away. He adds that despite his regeneration abilities, neither Kim nor the Yuza followers can escape this fate and withstand a barrage of gunfire. The director laughs derisively and tells Kim he's worked hard. Just then a girl hanging from the ceiling calls out to the director, catching him off guard. She asks if the man lying on the ground is Kim and introduces herself as one of the Yakuza members the director had been talking about earlier. The director, shocked, quickly orders the soldiers to eliminate her. The troops fire at her, but she vanishes in the blink of an eye from her spot on the ceiling. Suddenly, the girl appears behind the soldiers and one of them shouts a warning. However, she moves with incredible speed, slicing through them one by one. She continues slaughtering the soldiers mercilessly, and they cannot keep up with her extraordinary agility. The soldiers try to fire at her all at once, but they are stunned when they see her deflecting the bullets with her knife. She approaches one soldier and swiftly decapitates him. Another soldier, frozen in shock, watches his comrade's head fly through the air. But he doesn't have long to process it because she quickly sends him to join the others. Fallen, meanwhile, a sniper carefully lines up a shot aiming at the girl's neck and pulling the trigger. The bullet speeds toward her. However, to everyone's astonishment, she slices the bullet mid-air with her sword. The soldiers are now gripped with panic, wondering what kind of monster this girl could be. Although they're lost in fear, she continues her deadly rampage with unmatched skill. She stabs one soldier in the neck and swings her blade to sever at his head. It isn't long before she has wiped out all the soldiers in the area. The girl approaches the director, swords in hand, and stands before him. The last thought that crosses the director's mind is that the girl is undoubtedly a monster. She swiftly decapitates him with her blade. Afterward, she moves toward Kim and starts kicking him, as if trying to wake him up from a nap, despite the fact that he had taken more than 20 bullets to his body. The biggest surprise comes when Kim actually gets up. The girl informs him that Lady Anna ordered her to bring him to her. Upon hearing Anna's name, Kim forgets the pain and becomes consumed. With rage, he stands up, showing clear signs of transforming into a vampire, and commands the girl to get out of his way. She responds with corrections. It wasn't bring him in, it was bring him to me. However, the tension in the air makes everything feel more intense. Although they are arguing, there's a strange connection between them. This situation is complicated, but they both know it can't end well.